Why, yes, I did remember to clean my desk just for this video. What's up, my audience? You see, I have this dilemma because I want to say what's up YouTube, which is primarily where I'm uploading this video to. But however, I also upload to Facebook video because that's a thing that people use. But I'm hoping by me saying what's up YouTube, it beckons you to watch this rather than on Facebook, which is maybe more convenient on your little scrolly-poly device. Maybe you go over to YouTube land. Maybe you hit the subscribe button. Maybe you like this video. Maybe you turn on the bell for notifications so you never miss a video. These are things to consider as we dive into this episode of Am I Brainwashed? I get emails all the time from all kinds of people all over the world. Last time it was dogs. This time it is birds. Been pretty open with my story, my journey with sexuality and with faith. For the most part, I've gotten lots of support. Like, you would think that I'd get a ton of hate mail. Or at least I would think you would think that. But, you know, it's not that bad. I've gotten some hate mail over the years, definitely. But nothing to keep me up at night. And certainly with the ratio of support that I get to the hate that I get, it's like so massively, you know, it's like 99.9 to 0.1%. Like it's that big of a difference. However, I got an email recently that I wanted to actually read. We're gonna dive into the mailbag today, and this is something I might do from time to time. So I got this email the other day. I'm gonna call him Jeremiah. He said, "Hi Tom, I'm Jeremiah. I felt compelled to email you after seeing a few of your YouTube videos." Shout out to my YouTube videos. Not my Facebook videos. I'm a 68-year-old gay man, and yes, I've been through it all. The ups and downs, the relationships, etc. My main suggestion to you, get religion out of your life. I decided to around the age of 25. I imagine as a child you were taken to church and perhaps Sunday school or Bible school. I went through it, but when I got older, I realized it was all a brainwashing. What better age is there to warp a mind than when a child is so young? It's easily done, and it happens to almost every child. Religion is nothing more than a belief, and it has caused millions of people worldwide to die because of it. This is the reality I realized, and I decided not to live my life with religion. I was, and am so much happier because of my decision. You are a gay man. Don't let religion ruin your life or cloud your mind. You will be a happier man. And then he closed his email by saying, "If you have any questions or think I could help you in some way, please don't hesitate to get back to me. I'm retired and am in front of my computer every day." Big hug, exclamation point, Jeremiah. So it was a nice Oreo, you know, the classic Oreo response, like supportive, critical, and then supportive. So he framed it out really well, and I appreciate that. I honestly do. I'm not saying that sarcastically. Yeah, I do. I appreciate the honest feedback. I think when I see an email like that, my initial response, which I think is an initial response for most people, when someone attacks you or critiques you or whatever you want to call it, however you want to dress up the language, when someone calls you out in some way and says the way that you're going is incorrect, you should be going this way. I think a natural response is it's a fight or flight scenario, right? So you either want to ignore it, run away from it, just pretend that didn't happen, or go headstrong into it and say, no, you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I have a little bit of both in me, honestly. I think in general, when it comes to internet dialogue, my initial response is to flight. If we're talking about fight or flight, my initial response is honestly to ignore it, even though it stirs up some things in me. I might feel angry, or I might feel upset, or I might feel misconstrued. Like, I think that's a big one, is sometimes I feel like the words I'm saying or the life experiences I'm translating aren't enough. You aren't getting what I'm saying, or the life that I'm living, the choices that I'm making. And it's daunting. It's daunting to translate 32, almost 33 years of life into a YouTube video, into a blog post, into a podcast, or into a book even, and expect everything to translate, everything to make sense, every like decision that I've made to translate to the person who has their own long line of decisions and experiences that they've connected one after the other. And so while my first reaction is one of just like frustration and a combination of fight and flight, of wanting to run away from it, but also wanting to like fight back with my side of the story. I also have to take a step back, and this is something I've been doing a lot better at in recent months and maybe even years, is taking a step back, taking a literal deep breath, and realizing that this person, this Jeremiah, he's coming at this issue and how this issue intersects with my life from his vantage point, from his collection of experiences. And I think, as of this recording, we are in a absolutely supercharged, toxic era in American history. Like, this is crazy. Everything is either polarized this way or polarized this way. There is like nothing in the middle. You either love what's happening with our country right now, or you absolutely hate it and you think everything's the worst right now. Everything is so us versus them. There's no compromise. There's no meeting in the middle. And I think that translates to so much of our culture, not just our politics, not just our government. I think it's translating to just how we deal with one another. Differences in religion, differences in beliefs that maybe aren't religious, decisions that we make. It's disheartening. It really is. As someone who's super conflict averse, as I've said, it's enough to weigh me down. I just want to, especially on a cold, snowy day, I just want to pull a blanket over my head and just go to sleep for a while. Opening up this video, my first response is this person has a life and has a story with twice the experiences that I have, someone twice as old as I am. And I want to honor that. I want to enter into a dialogue with this person. I've already emailed him back. My basic gist of it was, yeah, I'm sorry for however the church failed you, whatever experiences you had in religion. Religion in and of itself is a man-made construct. We're trying to figure out how to connect with the divine. When you assemble fallen, messed up humanity together to do that, you can expect a lot of fallen, messed up ways of achieving that. And I'm at the front of the line when I express angst about the church. I've had all kinds of issues trying to get connected with the local church and to be seen, to be valued for who I am, all of me, my faith, my sexuality, struggles abounding. To be seen and known and loved, that's been a hard journey for me with the local church. This isn't a shock to me, or this is something I've realized for a while, that basically I would say maybe 8 or 9 times out of 10, things that I put out, things that I write, things that I film, they tend to be on the messier, grittier side of things. They're not so much the fluffy. I mean, I have that side of me too. I do travel videos, I love adventure, so that is a decent part of the content that I put out. But stuff that engages more, stuff that people want to talk about more is the grittier stuff. That's kind of the niche and the lane that I've found these last few years of writing on the internet. And I think what happens is, what gets lost in translation is that, oh my gosh, this guy is miserable. This guy is sad all the time. He has so many insecurities. He has so many problems. And so that's how I'm interpreting this email, seeing maybe a quote unquote negative video, a negative after a negative video. And it's oh my gosh, he's so miserable. He just needs to let go of this religion thing. He just needs to step into being gay and get a boyfriend and get married to a man and move on in that course of life. And I get it, honestly. I get that vantage point. If that's the lens through which you're looking at my life, then this response, this email that I just read, it makes total sense. It really does. But here's the reality. I'm a 32-year-old man. I am not brainwashed. I do not live in a cult. I live in an apartment by myself. I go to a church I choose to go to of my own volition. I actually just became a member, chose to do that of my own volition. Read the Bible and pray on my own accord. And these are decisions, these are convictions that I'm coming to completely on my own. Yes, I was raised in a Christian home. I still went to church and Sunday school and a Christian school, the whole thing. I was raised in Christianity, absolutely. I don't run away from that reality. That's a fact. But I'm an adult now, and I'm further and further away from childhood with every passing day. And while I can appreciate a lot of the upbringing and a lot of the roots that formed my faith, it has absolutely grown in so many ways since I left home, since I became an adult and moved out on my own and made decisions for myself. And believe me, it has not been this easy road. I've had friends who have come to decisions like scenarios described in this email, who were raised in the church and believed and then decided to walk away. And that's their prerogative to do as an adult, as a human. They can choose what they want. But for me, despite the flaws of religion, despite the flaws of the local church, I can't get away from the radical message of Jesus. And I say that in the most positive way possible. Like, this is a person, there was no one like him before, there's no one like him after. The linchpin of history. Jeremiah's email said that religion's nothing more than a belief that it's caused millions of people worldwide to die because of it. I won't disagree with any numbers or any basic claim that religion has caused incredible harm to people. Absolutely it has. I would argue that the person of Jesus, call it the religion of Christianity, call it whatever you want, has brought life to millions upon millions of people. It has me. Jesus makes sense of this story when this story makes no sense. But the thing that just really lands with me about Jesus is his humanity. Those garden scenes where you see Jesus for who he is, all of who he is. To have a God like that, who experienced humanity, who knows this road just as we walk it and stagger through it, is everything. And that is somebody that I'm going to follow the rest of my life, of my own volition, my own choice, not out of regret, not out of fear, not out of being forced to by anybody. He makes sense of every discombobulated thing happening in this world right now. And I have no regrets. I have no regrets for 32 years of walking this road. A road that's been fraught with raw and gritty, lonely, hard things, and one that's also been filled with just indescribable mountaintops. Yeah, I wouldn't trade a single thing for walking this road with Jesus. Not even my sexuality. Hello. So this is Tom of the future who got a haircut, who completely forgot to talk about like one of the major things that he was going to talk about in his Brainwashed video. I must have been brainwashed. Anyway, the whole point of the video was to talk about why I find Jesus so compelling. And then the other part of it was to explain a little bit my convictions, why, not only why I follow Jesus, but why specifically I'm choosing a course of celibacy while also maintaining an openness to marriage to a woman. That is kind of an alternative path. But as far as the path I'm actively walking right now, it is, singleness and celibacy. This is a book that I highly recommend. It's called People to Be Loved by Preston Sprinkle. I'll have it linked in the description. Really fantastic book. It's a deep dive into the theology of sexuality and marriage and examining it from all sides, because truly Preston does a great job going into this with an openness to be convinced of the other belief. Came into it growing up in the church and growing up in a traditional mindset, but he goes into it and looks at all the arguments from both sides and lays out the parts where he feels pretty sure about himself, but he also admits the parts where he doesn't, and that there are absolutely parts of Scripture that are maybe slightly more vague than the church at large cares to admit, or doesn't dive into as deeply as they could. And so I'm not a big arguer. I'm not a big explicator. I'm much more of a storyteller. I just want to tell you my story. It's not to say that going into deep theological dives isn't important, because it is. I'm just admitting that that's not my strong suit. And so that's why I'm really grateful for people like Preston, who do the hard work, who enjoy it, who are good at it, and who put it together in a concise, it's a fairly quick read. It's like 150, 160 pages. Yeah, and it's just super well done, so I definitely recommend it. If you want to learn more about why I believe what I believe, this is always the number one resource that I recommend to people. And the final thing I'll say about singleness and celibacy, for me, I'm just speaking for me, I'm not miserable. I'm really not. For whatever reason, whether it's a seasonal thing or whether it's a lifelong thing, I've never been wired really to desire marriage, to desire partnership. I think a lot of that admittedly comes from a lack of maturity, a lack of feeling like I can even take care of myself, let alone someone that I'm coupled to. I think that's a huge part of it, actually. But I've matured a lot in my late 20s and especially into my early 30s. And even as I start to get some ground underneath me, and as I start to feel like I'm taking care of myself physically, emotionally, relationally, the concept of marriage is still not really at the forefront of anything in my heart. I much more so want to belong to a tribe, want to belong to a group of people, more so than just one person. So that's just how I'm wired, and I know I cannot speak for my other brothers and sisters who are walking this road with me. I believe in the Bible. That being said, that was the other thing I was going to say about this book. If you don't believe the Bible is the inspired word of God, then maybe this book isn't going to really land with you. But if that's your framework, and that's mine, my framework is that the Bible is inspired by God, breathed into life by God, written by man. And to believe otherwise, or to believe nothing at all, just doesn't compute with me. Looking out my window, like literally looking out my window right now, and I see trees rustling in the breeze, and I see birds flittering around, squirrels running around in my yard. Like, I have to believe, as a writer, as a creator myself, I have to believe that somebody, something, some entity created it. And that's my framework for how I enter into this. This is the path I'm choosing to walk. I'm choosing to walk joyfully. It doesn't mean it's going to be a complete walk in the park. There are plenty of days where it's hard. It's hard to live as a human. Money is tight, or relatives get cancer. But believing in Jesus, like I follow a Savior who walked a road, who didn't have a place to lay his head, wasn't rich, was betrayed, was lonely. And that's super comforting. So now, let's go back to past Tom, because future Tom has to edit this. So thank you for the email, Jeremiah. I really do appreciate it. Anyone else who wants to email me, feel free. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Have you ever been called out for your faith? Do people say you're brainwashed or use that kind of language? And how do you react in those situations? I'd love to hear how you respond. That's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next time, and always remember to